Against the Boston Red Sox. Boston winners in last night's game 6-4. John Farrell's return to Rogers Center. Take a look at the Red Sox lineup. Top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury. Then Shane Victorino, who's down at the bottom of the order in last night's game. In 87 at-bats against the Blue Jays, Victorino's hit .310. He's got a couple of home runs and scored 16 runs. Pedroia's in the third spot, Mike Napoli, and then Jackie Bradley Jr. won the job in left field this spring with a terrific .419 average, 2 homers and 12 RBIs, and he had 75 at-bats. He got a great opportunity and made the most of it.
Yeah, he's a good-looking player. This is Jay Happ, will get his first start of the season. Came over from Houston in that big 10-player trade last July and really energized the Blue Jays. Came to spring training, won the 5th starter spot, 7 appearances. He had the lowest earned run average among Blue Jay starters.
First pitch of the ball game is in there for a strike. Jacoby Ellsbury went 1 for 5 in the game last night. He drove in a run. He also walked and had a pair of strikeouts. Nothing like 2 strikes to start the game.
Yeah, that we have seen it all spring long from Jay Happ. Stay on top of that ball. He's been really driving the ball to the lower parts of the strike zone. And his breaking ball seems to be a little bit tighter.
The breaking ball just missed off the plate outside. Jay Happ said all along, he said, I don't feel like I'm an insurance policy. I don't feel like I'm the 6th starter on this ball club. He always said, I'm a major league starter. And boy, did he back up his words.
You know, that's the thing. He went out there and proved it. And in baseball, you never know what's going to happen. Somebody could get injured. Somebody could falter. Kept his mouth shut all spring long. Just went out and did his thing and let his performance do the talking. And here he is.
2-2 to Ellsbury. Downstairs. Full count. Yeah, Jay just made the point early on and kind of said, okay, that's where I stand. And then, as you mentioned, just went about his business. Here's the 3-2 pitch. On the ground, past DeRosa down the left field line. Cabrera over in foul ground. Throw to second base is not in time. Jacoby Ellsbury starts things off for Boston with the leadoff double.
Such a dynamic offensive player at the top of that lineup for the Boston Red Sox. He's got some power, he's got some speed, good on base percentage. Just takes the pitch away from him. Doesn't try and do too much of it. Just a half swing, keeps it fair down the left field line between Mark DeRosa and the bag, and a good start for the Red Sox.
Ellsbury's first double of the season. So Shane Victorino, switch hitter, batting second. Victorino in last night's game was 7th in the lineup and had a 2 for 5 night. Red Sox are off to a good start with the bat. As a team, they're hitting .309. Last night, they hit their first 2 home runs of the season. Mike Napoli hit the first, and then Will Middlebrooks with a 9th inning home run.
It's a little bit different constructed offensive team for the Red Sox than what we have seen in the past. A lot of on-base percentage guys, a lot of guys who can switch hit, and they can knock the ball from foul line to foul line. A couple of big boppers in the middle of the lineup. Well, this is a team that leads the American League in on-base percentage of almost 400.
Victorino off to a good start in a Boston uniform. He's hitting all 4 games this season. Trying to hit that ball on the right side of the infield. Jay Happ and Victorino were teammates in Philadelphia. Well, they know one another. Happ came up with the Phillies in 2008. Made 23 starts in 2009 and finished up with a 12-4 record. And Sevilla. Foul tip. Where'd the ball go? Right there on the plate. Ball hit the glove and then hits Aaron Sebia's body, chest protector, and then went to the ground. Aaron Sebia's not sure where it was, but had he held onto that ball after it hit his glove initially, it would have been strike 3. 1-2. Nobody out. Ellsbury at second. Popped up. Right side of the infield. Second baseman Bonifacio makes the catch, and Ellsbury stays at second. Take a look at the defense, and again, in the outfield, no Jose Bautista. He's unable to go for a second straight day. Cabrera, Rasmussen, Davis. Mark DeRosa starts at third base. He was at first base in last night's game. Reyes and Bonifacio up the middle. Encarnacion at first, and Aaron Sebia and Happ team up to make the Blue Jays battery this afternoon.
A couple of nights ago, we saw Emilio Bonifacio had a great defensive play, not so much yesterday. I talked to Luis Rivera today and said those are just small mistakes that can be corrected. He made a few mistakes. Remember, he was an outfielder. He's just playing second base for the first time. We can get out there. The details of playing second base can be fixed.
Dustin Pedroia, number 3 hitter. Pedroia had a pair of hits in last night's game. His average at .333. Good strike right on the inside corner.
Pedroia is a very aware player, aware of situations, aware of who's pitching, and tries to take advantage of all the little things that you can. You see him right at the end there kind of glance towards the right side of the infield, thinking about maybe punching a ball that other way.
Ball bounced in the dirt. Good job by Aaron Sebia. Got a good angle on that ball in the dirt. Dustin Pedroia is 3 for 3. Very limited at bats against Jay Happ. Happ is making his 3rd career start against the Red Sox. Ellsbury with the leadoff double. Off the bag at second. Outside, he wouldn't chase. Boston won the opener of this series 6-4 in last night's game. Both clubs had 12 hits, and they each hit 2 home runs. Pedroia really turned it on against lefties after the All-Star break. A good off-speed pitch. That's something Happ has really worked on, trying to refine his changeup.
Yeah, and Pete Walker was telling us before the season started, he says he's going to use that changeup just a little bit more. They have taken the splitter away from him. He's not throwing the split like he did in years past. He's going to go to a straight changeup. That was a good one right there to Pedroia.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out. Boy, Happ made a nice pitch, got the ball down and away to Pedroia, and comes up with a big strikeout. Mike Napoli's the cleanup hitter, and last night in the 5th inning against Josh Johnson.
Red Sox first home run of the season. Told you they're a little bit different team offensively. They don't have the power up and down the lineup like they did back in their championship days, but Napoli certainly can power one out of the ballpark. Still missing David Ortiz from this lineup. He was on the disabled list.
Ortiz is slated to start playing in extended spring training games on Monday. There goes Ellsbury. Got a great jump. Aaron Sebia's throw not in time. Ellsbury with his 2nd stolen base of the season. He got a great jump.
Yep, big jump. He got the walking lead, and as soon as Jay Happ picks up that front foot, he's gone. Red Sox now a perfect 5 for 5 this year in stolen bases.
That straight leg slide beats the glove tag. Ball and a strike. Upstairs. One thing we saw from Jay Happ all spring long was the ability to throw strikes down in the zone. Last year he had some success, but most of the time he was working in the upper half of the strike zone.
Yeah, he had a consecutive strikeout game going also, but you're right, a lot of it up in the strike zone. This year he got on top of the ball just a little bit more, really pitching downhill a lot better.
Ellsbury walks off third. 2 outs. Napoli a dangerous hitter. Out on the corner.
You know, that's something that we have seen over the first 5 games of the season. The opposition of the Blue Jays making the pitcher work hard in the first inning.
5th straight time a Blue Jay starter has thrown more than 20 pitches in the first inning. Strike down. Fastball on the outside corner. He got it. Jay Happ pitches around the leadoff double. Red Sox lead 1. Top of the order. Jose Reyes with 4 hits in last night's game. Rajay Davis, then Melky Cabrera. In every aspect, starting pitching has labored early in ball games to this point, and the hitters really haven't gotten untracked yet. You look at the Blue Jays lineup. Rajay Davis moves up into the 2 spot against John Lackey. He's had good numbers. 10 for 26 with a pair of doubles, and right behind him, Melky Cabrera hitting in the 3 spot in place of Jose Bautista. He too has done a good job against Boston starter John Lackey.
385 and 345 respectively for a batting average. John Lackey, this is his first start since August the 25th of 2011. Buck, you were talking about him being out all of last season after Tommy John surgery was performed in November of 2011. Lackey, when he is on, he'll give you innings. He'll take you deep into the ball games. 12 and 12 a couple of years ago.
For his career, he is 128 and 94, and he's been a workhorse. He's one of those guys that logs 200 innings. He's done that 5 times. Reyes shows bunt, takes a strike. Jose Reyes, 4 hits in last night's game. 25th time in his career he's had 4 hits. And he starts off his afternoon with a line drive base hit. Take a look at the defense for the Red Sox behind John Lackey. In the outfield, the speedy rookie Jackie Bradley Jr. is in left. Jacoby Ellsbury, a Gold Glover in center, and Shane Victorino. He's got 3 Gold Gloves. He's in right. The infield is Middlebrooks, Siriaco, Pedroia, and Napoli. David Ross, the veteran, Fills in behind the plate. He teams up with John Lackey.
Jose Iglesias cannot make the start this afternoon. We saw him get hit by a pitch in yesterday's game. Very capable backup in Siriaco.
Rajay Davis with a long look down at third base. Luis Rivera flashing the signs. Davis started in right field in last night's game, went 2 for 4 with a double. There goes Reyes. Terrific jump. Ross's throw is low in the dirt. Jose Reyes with 40 steals a year ago picks up his second.
I have a feeling we might see a little bit more of this afternoon. John Lackey very deliberate towards home plate. Doesn't have the quickest move towards home, so you're going to see if the Blue Jay speedsters get on first base, they're not going to hang around there that long.
Davis trying to shoot the ball to the right side. We've seen this from Boston in this series. In a situation like this, runner at second, nobody out, the right side of the infield will shorten up. If they get a hot shot on the ground, they might take a shot at Reyes should he break for third.
Yeah, and that runner at second base has to be aware of that. They have to read that off the bat. And if I've got the type of numbers that Rajay Davis does against John Lackey, I'm not thinking about moving the guy over. I'm thinking about it's early enough in the game. I'm going to try and drive him in. 385 in his career against John Lackey.
Yeah, and you can't go away from your personality. Blue Jays have never been a ball club to play for one run. And we have seen it early on from John Gibbons going all the way back in spring training. He wants the guys to think on their feet.
Yeah. Play their game. Do their thing. A lot of times you play for one run, you're only going to get one run.
Blue Jays have really struggled this season. Runners in scoring position, just 2 for 22. That's 29th in the majors. John Hirschbeck, the home plate umpire, brings up Rajay Davis. He thought it was ball 4.
Looked like a backup breaking ball. Cuts to the inside part of the play. Rajay can't believe it. He's asking us that ball is up.
Melky Cabrera. Blue Jays now 2 for 23 with runners in scoring position. Only the Giants have a lower batting average with runners in scoring position. San Francisco just 1 for 16. Appeal down to James Hoy at third base is denied.
You know, a lot of that what can be the newness of the league for some of these players who've come over from the National League. The excitement about wanting to do something here at home. And instead of relaxing and just letting it flow, you get excited. I think you're only human. You know, the excitement of the crowd and the expectations and everything like that. Because these are good hitters, and they will pick those runners up.
Expectations are sky high for this ball club, and players feel that. They want to get off to a good start. And it's been a terrific crowd. The turnout has been very good here at Rogers Center this first week of the season. 2 balls, 2 strikes off the outside corner. Lackey is all over the place early in this ball game, missing with several pitches up and away to Melky, and he can really handle that ball away from him.
He'll go right with it, much like we saw Jacoby Ellsbury in the first inning, just slap the ball the other way. If he stays out there.
Off speed pitch where he fouled it off his left leg. John Lackey is 5-7 against the Jays for his career. He reached for that outside pitch and stays alive.
One thing that we have seen from Melky Cabrera early on in this season, he'll see a lot of pitches. This is a 7-pitch at bat now. The next one will be 8. Lots of pitches, so he's getting some good information from these starters.
Bouncing ball, Lackey. He never looked at Reyes, and Reyes holds his ground. He's already in scoring position. Why gamble?
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Good crowd on hand at Rogers Center. First Saturday game of the season. Edwin Encarnacion will step in. Edwin off to a bit of a slow start. Just 2 for 15 in the early going. Good rip at that high fastball.
I haven't seen the pitchers pitch him any differently than last year. Keeping the ball away from him, pounding him up with fastballs, so he just hasn't gotten on track yet. He's the kind of guy that the home runs, they come in bunches. Gets in the groove. That was a good pitch to hit right there.
Middle, you can see it on the pitch track right out over the plate. Another week or so, pitcher won't get that one back.
Some fan is going to be picking that one up in the seats in left field.
He checked on the breaking ball, and Bob Davidson down at first base rings up Encarnacion. 2 strikeouts in the inning, and both questioned by the Blue Jay hitters. John Lackey's out of the first. Again, the Blue Jays leave a man aboard. Reyes got a leadoff single, but Encarnacion is called for the check swing.
Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice. And by the 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well, Middlebrooks takes the first pitch upstairs from Jay Happ. Middlebrooks, the Red Sox third baseman. A couple of hits in last night's game. Ended up 2 for 5. He doubled in the 7th and homered in the 9th. Jeremy Jeffers gave up the home run to Will Middlebrooks, and Jeffers has been designated for assignment by the Blue Jays. David Bush, originally a Blue Jay, is back in the big leagues. He was called up and joined the ball club this morning, so he is here in the ballpark.
Jeffers was out of options, so he is exposed to waivers. He could be picked up by other ball clubs.
There's David Bush.
They just needed some length. They needed somebody to chew up some innings because the starters have gone 6 in each of the first 4 games, and the bullpen has been used a lot.
High fly ball to right. Rajay Davis with good speed gets over and makes the grab. First out of the second inning. We had mentioned the first 4 starters for the Blue Jays, and making their first start, everybody's a little amped up. You go out there and you want to get off to a good start, and certainly everybody wants to get off to a fast start to begin their season. Mark Burley, Josh Johnson already have their starts under their belts.
And you feel like you're rushing when you're out there. Now, for Jay Happ, that's not a bad thing. That's something that they have worked on in spring training. Speed up the delivery just a little bit more. Pete Walker feels like that'll help his timing and it'll help him repeat his delivery. Jay gets into trouble when he's a little bit too slow on the mound. They want him to speed it up a little bit.
There's a guy that speeds it up. We'll see R.A. Dickey tomorrow. He'll make his second start, and right behind him is Henry Blanco, who will catch him. Johnny Gomes in the hole 0-2.
Those are the pitches that we saw Jay Happ all spring training long. Throw. Stay on top and really drive that ball to the bottom part of the strike zone. Look where it is on pitch tracks. Right at the bottom.
You throw 2 down at the bottom of the zone, then you elevate that fastball. It's difficult for a hitter to catch up to it on the next pitch.
Changes your eye plane. You've been over looking down, and all of a sudden they stand you up with that high fastball. And you can drop that breaking ball in here.
On the ground, Reyes to his left, gloves it in plenty of time. 2 quick outs. Well, it's Junior Jays Saturday, and they're presented by Boston Pizza. The next Junior Jays Saturday will take place April 20th, when the New York Yankees come to town to take on the Blue Jays. The game starts at 1:07 p.m. There are special kids price tickets in the 200 and 500 level outfield seats. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234. You can log on to BlueJays.com to order your tickets, or you can always pick up your tickets at most Rogers Plus locations. Catcher David Ross takes a first pitch strike. On the ground, Reyes playing in the hole. He's got plenty of arm and throws him out easily. Good inning for Jay Happ. He retires the Red Sox in order in the second. stat of the game, brought to you by the new BlackBerry Z10, built to keep you moving.
Let's take a look at John Lackey's career. His batting average, the opponent's batting average against John Lackey has gone up 5 straight years. He pitches a lot of innings, throws a lot of pitches. Again, he didn't pitch last year because of the Tommy John surgery that he had in 2011, but you can see in 2011, not very good. 308, the 5th straight year that batting average had gone up.
Lackey, in his 4th season, he signed a 5-year free agent contract with the Red Sox. He spent his first 11 seasons with the Angels, and Adam Lynn knows him well. Lynn looking for his first hit of the season. He's 0 for 13, and he's got the right man on the mound. John Lackey. Lynn is 14 for 26 against Lackey. That's a .538 average and plenty of at-bats.
Yep, plenty of at-bats. He's driven in 6 runs. Hasn't hit a home run off of him in his career. This might be a good time. Get that first big hit of the season.
Little tapper back to the mound. Lackey has it, and Lynn's retired. Well, Boston needs a bounce back from their starters. There's no question about that. They finished 5th in the AL East, 26 games out. They won just 69 games. Brought in Ryan Dempster to give them some depth in their rotation. John Lester, who will go tomorrow against R.A. Dickey. Anxious for a bounce back. Clay Buchholz sitting next to Dempster.
You know, and it's not like they don't have talent in their starting rotation. And I think that's one of the reasons they brought John Farrell back over here to work with John Lester and to work with Clay Buchholz. Their starters ERA last year, over 5.19. There's Felix Dubron, who we saw yesterday. That's the highest ERA by any rotation in their franchise history.
Bonnie Evans in his first year as the pitching coach after spending his coaching days in Chicago with the White Sox. There's a good slider off the plate outside.
How many times have we said it, Buck, where it all starts on that mound with the starters? You get the innings and you get the quality starts that you need. You're going to win ball games.
1-2 off the plate outside. Blackie's showing pretty good command. We talked about the rust factor. He hasn't pitched since 2011, and he hasn't left too many balls out over the heart of the plate early on. Good pitch right on the corner. Fastball gets Aaron Sebia. 3rd strikeout of the game. Fans, a reminder, Rogers customers can watch every Blue Jays game this season on Sportsnet live on your smartphone. Visit RogersAnyPlaceTV.com/sports to get started. Great new aspect of Rogers Center is that outfield 200 level. It's been opened up. Fans can wander around the stadium and end up there, and you get a great perspective of the ball game from a center field vantage point. Mark DeRosa hit one just underneath that outfield section last night. His first home run as a Blue Jay in the 5th inning. Also had a sac fly. High breaking ball. It's one of the few pitches that Lackey has left up over the heart of the plate.
Being out all of last year, his command looks pretty good in his first start.
And he makes quick work of the Blue Jays in the 2nd. We have played 2 innings here at Rogers Center. It's a scoreless ball game. There are those fans in that 200 level in the outfield, and they're watching Jay Happ and John Lackey quiet the bats early on. Happ throws the first pitch strike to Jackie Bradley Jr. Inside with the fastball. Bradley was drafted by the Red Sox in 2011. He's made his way through the minor leagues very quickly. Skipped over AAA and came right to the big leagues. Now, if you can't call that a strike, thank you.
Thank you.
The bat went all the way around the batter. How are you going to hide that one?
That was an easy one. Our third base umpire, James Hoy. Watch the replay. Fastball inside.
Check my swing, but the bat went around. 1-2. Just downstairs. Boy, there's so many things during the course of a ball game that really make you chuckle, aren't there? And you and I can appreciate it because they've all happened to us.
Been there, done that.
Take another look. And if you can't laugh at this, you just don't enjoy the game. Swing. I didn't go. I didn't go. Oh, my bat did. Full count. Cut on and missed. Happ records another strikeout. That's 3 already in this ballgame for Jay Happ.
They've gone a couple of times now to young Jackie Bradley up and in with 2 strikes, and they've come away with strikeouts. Jay Happ executing that pitch up and in nicely.
Jay Happ. A leadoff double to Jacoby Ellsbury. Pedro Siriaco. Well, he had a good game in last night's ball game. Came off the bench and delivered a pinch RBI single in the 4th inning. He was hitting for the starting shortstop, Jose Iglesias, who was hit by a pitch and had to leave the ball game.
Those are usually your best games. When you're sitting on the bench, just minding your own business, a guy gets hurt and all of a sudden you're in there. You don't have time to think. Just go out there and react and just play.
We saw Iglesias before the game today throwing out in the outfield, and he appeared to be a little bit better, but boy, he got clipped pretty good on the inside of his right elbow.
Tried to play for a couple of innings and just could not make the throw across the diamond.
Well, Jay Happ walks the number 9 batter. Man aboard with 1 out. Fans, if you want your baseball questions answered by our team of experts, email asktheexperts@sportsnet.ca. Then you can keep your eye out for the home hardware Ask the Expert segment later in this ball game.
That guy was here yesterday.
Yes, he was.
Him, the king, or whatever you want to call him, with his iron on there.
You think he washed his face off and did it again today?
I think he slept just like that.
Top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury on a full count slashed a ball past Mark DeRosa down the left field line for a leadoff double. He would eventually steal third, but he died at third base as the Red Sox failed to cash him in.
Teams have stayed away from Ellsbury after that big 30 home run season a couple of years ago.
Oh, 0-2. Ellsbury had that great year, finished second in the MVP voting in 2011 to the Tigers' Justin Verlander. One of the best seasons an outfielder can put together. 0-2. In the dirt, Siriaco off on the pitch and advances easily. The ball hit him in the back of the helmet, and he's going to go to third base. Aaron Sebia may have been better off not to throw that ball. He had a long run to track it down. Just concede the 90 feet. Don't give him an extra 90.
Well, first of all, the base running by Siriaco reads the ball in the dirt. And at first base, you can see the flight of the baseball. And if you read that ball's in the dirt, just take off, especially if you can run as well as Siriaco can. And you're right, no sense of trying to throw that ball right there. Hits off the helmet of Siriaco, ricochets into right field, and now runner at third base, and the infield's got to come in.
Wild pitch and an error on the catcher, and lefty on lefty, so John Gibbons has called for the infield to come in, try to save the run. 1-2, 1 out. On the ground, and Encarnacion's coming home, and Siriaco is out. Edwin Encarnacion with the backhand, and then a good strong throw to the plate for Aaron Sebia, and Siriaco is out.
Red Sox are going to be playing the contact play. They're going to try and steal a run with some speed at the plate and steal some speed at third base. Siriaco gets a huge lead, and as soon as he swings the bat, you are taking off in a straight line to home. But a good play by Encarnacion to pick it, then throw a strike to Aaron Sebia, who applies the tag. You can do that when you've got a runner like Ellsbury, because you got to figure he's going to try and steal and get himself back into scoring position.
And Happ is aware of that. Ellsbury, a year ago, missed a lot of time. He had just 14 steals. But he's had a 70 steal season, a 50 steal season, and in 2011 stole 39. Got to keep them close.
One more time at the plate. Infield in, and you anticipate this and you expect them to go. Aaron Sebia with that left leg anchors and just blocks him right off the plate. So he can apply the tag and get the out.
2 outs. Ellsbury was moving back toward the bag when Happ delivered the pitch. Shane Victorino popped up to the second baseman his first time up. I think you'll see Victorino hitting in the 2 spot quite a bit on this ball club. There goes the runner. Aaron Sebia from his knees on the money, but late. JP made a strong throw. Got over the bag, but Ellsbury slid underneath the tag. His second stolen base of the afternoon.
You mentioned all the stolen bases. 70, which is a record. He's going to go on first movement. Guess is right with Jay Happ. A quick glance into the catcher. And then on that replay, you can see that that leg just got in there before the tag by Bonifacio.
3-0 count to Victorino. He walks him. Dustin Pedroia will make his way to the plate. Jay Happ struck out Pedroia, and Aaron Sebia wants to talk things over with his lefty. Now Pete Walker, the pitching coach, has popped out of the Blue Jays dugout. He's going to join the conversation.
A lot of times this is just to remind what they're going to do here. Pete Walker, you can see him going right to JP Aaron Sebia and talking to him. Hey, what do you think? How's the fastball look? Let's remind what we're going to do with Dustin Pedroia. Don't worry about those runners on base. There's 2 outs.
Yeah, that's a pretty good time for a meeting in my mind. After you get 2 outs, had a stolen base against you, you got a tough hitter at the plate. You just help Happ and Aaron Sebia sort out their thoughts. You've got 9 guys to think about, 9 different approaches. And you want to make sure that you're focused on Dustin Pedroia, who's such a good run producer. Pedroia struck out in the first. And Happ gets ahead of him with a fastball. Chased one away, and Pedroia is behind 0-2.
He likes the ball up, Dustin Pedroia, and he can handle that ball up, in or away. You can see his numbers in his career with runners in scoring position. Those kind of guys who just grind out at bats and just live for these situations right here to drive in big runs.
high pitch. He fights it off and stays alive.
You know, you look at Dustin Pedroia, and he's not a real big guy, and you say, okay, I can blow a fastball by it, but he can turn on that high pitch. How many times have you seen it from him before?
Yeah. Cito Gaston always talked about Pedroia being the best at hitting that high fastball. He goes up with the ball and hits it up around the helmet. I mean, he can tommyhawk a big fastball.
And the bat stays up there. It doesn't cut a swing off. It always finishes high.
0-2, 2 outs. Ellsbury at second. Victorino at first. Just off the plate, another high fastball. Well, you make a great point. As a pitcher, you look in there and you see Pedroia. He's about 5'8". You say, well, I can blow this guy away. That's not the case.
No. You got to think along with him, because he is right in your grill, too. Thinking about what you're trying to do to him. And you know he's thinking about that strikeout in the first inning. It was a fastball down and away.
Got to change his eye level now. Everything has been up and away. He's seeing the ball in the same zone. Just give him a little different look. Home a breaking ball down and in. He might chase. Might surprise him.
Maybe a little slider on the inside part of the plate or something down.
2-2 pitch, 2 outs. Up and away. Full count. The runners will be off on the pitch, and there's good speed. Jacoby Ellsbury reached on a fielder's choice, and he stole second. Shane Victorino reminding Ellsbury of that spin move from Happ. He walked. There go the runners. Pedroia pops it up. Looked like a changeup. Mark DeRosa moves into foul ground, and the inning is over. Red Sox have stranded 3. Scoreless ball game. We head to the bottom of the third. Colby Erasmus will lead things off, followed by Emilio Bonifacio. Back to the red hot Jose Reyes. Comfort Zone, our guest of TD. The TD Comfort Zone, courtesy of TD. Can't ask for a better seat, high above the second section there, looking out from behind home plate. Great opportunity to watch a good ball game. Scoreless game. We move to the bottom of the third inning. It'll be 8-9-1 for the Blue Jays. Colby Erasmus. Rasmus doubled in his first at bat last night against Felix Dubron. Out in front of that off speed pitch. going to be interesting to watch John Lackey work through the course of this ball game and see if the Blue Jays can't force him over the middle of the plate. He's been working the edges very effectively.
Cutters in on the lefties and then go back outside. That time up and in. And you're right. I think if the Blue Jays are going to beat him, they're going to have to beat him away. He has kept everything away. He'll show a little bit inside every now and then to get you to swing at it, maybe pull it foul. But everything has been away. So the mindset for the hitters have to be, at least early in this game, let's poke a few the other way and get something started.
3 straight strikeouts for John Lackey. Rasmus strikes out to start the 3rd. Emilio Bonifacio hooks it one up and away. Bonifacio had a rough night last night, 3 errors in the field, and he struck out 4 times. He's back in there today. We mentioned how baseball is very forgiving in that regard, because you have a rough night and you don't have long to think about it. You can't stew over it because you got to play the next day.
Yeah, could you imagine if you have that type of night and then you have to sit around all day today?
How about if you're a football player and had to wait a whole week?
Couldn't do it. You throw 4 interceptions and you got to wait 7 days before you can get back out there.
I read the newspaper for 6 straight days.
That's the beauty of baseball.
Well, you talked about Bonifacio 2 nights ago, saved the game with his glove.
For me, he was the star of the game a couple of nights ago. Great defensive plays, and everybody was talking about how wonderful he is. He also picked up a couple of base hits in that game. I mean, that's the way it is.
4 for 16 in the early going. Battled injuries all season last year. Played in just 64 games with the Miami Marlins. On the ground. Napoli will go to the bag ahead of Bonifacio, 2 down. Blue Jays Honda Super Camps will take place again this summer, and they are presented by Baseball Canada and Little League Canada. London, Ontario, April 19th, 20th, and 21st. You can enjoy a Honda Super Camp at Centerfield Sports. The instructors include Jesse Barfield, Sandy Alomar Sr., Devon White, and Dwayne Ward. Visit BlueJays.com/Baseball Academy for more information. The Blue Jays are proud supporters of amateur baseball across Canada. Jose Reyes, 5 hits in his last 6 plate appearances.
Doing his job. His job is to get on base. This is 5 straight games where he has led off the game for the Blue Jays and gotten on base. Exactly what they were looking for.
He's reached in 8 of his last 11 at bats. Stay hot. Reyes, his 2nd hit of the afternoon.
And Mike Napoli, the first baseman over there, might have saved extra bases by getting up and getting his glove on that ball. It was scorched by Reyes, and it looked like it was heading down into the corner. That's 2, maybe 3. But Napoli gets up, deflects the ball, slows it down, and holds him to a single.
Reyes stole 2nd in the 1st. Big lead. Dwayne Murphy, who is coaching first base this year, has a stopwatch in his left hand. That will help Reyes as far as the unload time from Lackey. David Ross, the veteran catcher behind the plate. Torey Lovello, the bench coach, will give them the base running defense. Davis, a base hit through the right side. Reyes will jog to 2nd. Back-to-back 2-out hits.
Said you got to stay on. Big John Lackey. He's going to keep the ball away from him. And Rajay, that's a good piece of hitting right there. Don't try and pull it, slider away, just poke it the other way for a hit.
Sometimes the threat of a steal is as valuable as the stolen base itself. Lackey distracted to the point where Rajay Davis just singled in. Now Blue Jays got something going with the switch hitter Cabrera stepping in the box. Melky Cabrera. Why don't you just sense that sooner or later, very quickly, we're going to see this offense explode?
Yeah. There's just too many good hitters in this lineup, up and down the lineup. And what has been missing is that clutch 2-out hit.
Well, and I think, too, this team is going to hit a boatload of doubles. And to me, a double is even more punishing than a home run because you constantly have a runner in scoring position. 2 balls, no strikes, 2 outs. Scoreless game, bottom of the 3rd.
When he has needed a strike against the lefties, he's cut that ball in on him, thrown that slider right in on their hands, that cut fastball. Trying to decide where they want to go now to Cabrera.
Off-speed pitch for a strike. 2-1. When you have a team that hits a lot of doubles, the pitcher is always working out of the stretch, and he's always looking back over his shoulder and saying, oh man, there's another runner in scoring position. You give up a home run, back to square one. It's a clean slate. Lackey gets out of it. Blue Jays 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position this afternoon. They strand 2 more. We're still scoreless. Saturday, and a lot of kids on hand. It's very young fans getting a taste of Blue Jays baseball, and he likes what he sees.
Just stay behind the glass.
That's awesome. Always popular Junior Day Saturday. Kids 14 and under can get on the field after the ball game and run around the bases. And the guy that's been running around the bases more than anybody lately is Jose Reyes. 2 more hits this afternoon. Mike Napoli was a strikeout victim in the first. Napoli signed as a free agent with the Red Sox. He was late on that fastball. And Napoli had originally negotiated a nice 3-year contract for about $39 million. And then when he underwent the physical with the Red Sox team doctors, They discovered something that didn't make them too comfortable. He had a hip problem that he'd been dealing with the last couple of years, and they worked out a one-year deal, and he's got to now prove that he can stay healthy. Chases that fastball, and Happ's dealing. Fourth strikeout of the afternoon by Jay Happ.
Yeah, both John Lackey and Jay Happ piling up the strikeouts. Fastball, fastball, fastball. Let's throw it on the outside part of the plate, expand that strike zone. And he's got Mike Napoli twice now this afternoon. Look at the downward movement on that ball. That's what he was doing all spring long.
You don't really think of Jay Happ as being a strikeout pitcher, but last August 17th, he struck out 6 Rangers in a row. And it wasn't the B team, folks. Adrian Beltre, Michael Young, David Murphy, Gio Soto, Greg Gentry, and Mike Olt sat down 6 in a row on strikeouts. And then after he walked Ian Kinsley, he struck out Elvis Andrus for good measure. 7 strikeouts. 0-2. Great changeup. Boy, he really sold it with the arm action, and Will Middlebrooks strikes out.
Yeah, something that he's going to do a little bit more of. Throw the changeup a little bit more. Look at the grip. You tuck that ball back into your fingers. You keep it off the palm of your hand, and you try and throw it as hard as you can, because you got to sell it, like you said. That hitter has to see arm speed like a fastball, and then it just dies at the plate for the strikeout.
Jay Happ's 30 years old now and has learned that it's not all the time that you have to throw at 100% effort. Easier is better at times. Johnny Gomes is late on that pitch. Yes. 91.
Nothing like a well-placed fastball, especially early in the count. You get ahead, then your secondary pitches can come into play.
Can't play so much better than that. Nope. Red Sox hitters trying to solve Jay Happ. Johnny Gomes grounded out the shortstop his first time up.
That right there was a purpose pitch. Fastball up and away. And they came back last time with a breaking ball.
Breaking ball bounced in the dirt. Gomes wouldn't chase. You can see Jay Happ, the wheels are spinning. He's trying to sort out his thoughts and figure out where he wants to go to finish off this at bat. And he does. Another changeup, another strikeout. Jay Happ strikes out the side in the 4th. He gave up a leadoff double and settled in since middle of the 4th. It's a 0-0 ball game. For the Blue Jays, his bobblehead will be given away on April 21st. It's presented by the Toronto Star. The Yankees are in town. It's a Sunday game. It starts at 1:07 p.m. The first 20,000 fans will receive an Edwin Encarnacion bobblehead. Call the Blue Jays for tickets at 416-341-1234. Quite a pitcher's duel going on here this afternoon. John Lackey has 6 strikeouts, as does Jay Happ.
The number 5's banging heads this afternoon. Pitching great.
Edwin struck out in the first. Drives this ball toward the gap. Victorino on the run. He will get there. And boy, see his center field skills playing out right there. Victorino's a 3-time Gold Glove center fielder playing in right.
When they signed him this offseason, you kind of scratched your head and you said, what's up with that? Why do they need Victorino? They've already got a couple of players just like him. But they needed a guy to cover the expansion out in right field in Fenway Park. It's a big right field, and it's tougher, I think, to play right field at Fenway Park than it is to play center field.
John Lester, R.A. Dickey, the number 1 starters for their respective clubs, will hook up tomorrow. Another 1:07 start be the homestand final game. Adam Lynn's got a batting average. First hit of the season for Lynn.
Been there.
You bet.
We opened up in Detroit one season, and the first 2 pitchers, Jack Morris, Dan Petrie, that's an 0 for 8 right there. People kid you all the time. You don't have an average. It's a long season.
Oh, it is. I tell you what, I came into Exhibition Stadium in '82 hitting 46 in June. 1 out, J.P. Arencibia.
Where was that 0 on the 46? At the beginning of the number?
Yeah, 0-46.
0-46. Nice.
I got out of the cab, and Ben Ogilvie was riding with me, and he held out his hand. He had a handful of change. I said, what's that? He said, 46 cents. That's what you're hitting. Ball and a strike to the Blue Jays catcher. Four hits now for Toronto. Again, that pattern of working Arencibia away. John Farrell, the Red Sox manager, has first-hand knowledge about the Blue Jays hitters, and you can bet he has versed his pitching staff.
Yeah, he knows better than anybody. He, Torey Lovello, Brian Butterfield, how to position, how to pitch these Blue Jay batters. He saw Arencibia take a lot of 2-strike breaking balls out of the ballpark.
Ball is high and deep to center. Ellsbury on the run, looking up. Goodbye, home run.
And guess what? He just saw another one. Looked like a cut fastball. Tried to stay away from Arencibia. He said you're going to have to beat him the other way or back through the middle. First it was Adam Lynn to get it started with a single back through the middle, and then J.P. Arencibia. Stay back and take that one deep. That's a home run swing right there.
Third home run of the season for the Blue Jays catcher, and it's a pretty swing. Blue Jays have hit 10 home runs. Then got it started with 1 out, his first hit of the season, and he scores a hit of Arencibia. 2-0 Blue Jays.
That's a good feeling, to feel like you're contributing to your ball club.
Off the end of the bat, Lackey comes over and shovels to Napoli. DeRosa is down, 2 outs. Aaron Seavy's got some pop, we know that. He hit 18 home runs in an abbreviated season a year ago. John Gibbons with a question for Lind. He just checks in with his players from time to time.
Yeah, you'll see him go down to that bench and have a word to say to them. Just check in with them. We saw him talking to Jose Reyes, and we all thought it had something to do with the base running, but it had nothing to do with the base running. I asked him the next day, I said, what do you have to say to Jose? Now, I don't know if he didn't want to tell me or not, but he goes, I forgot.
Rasmus falls behind 0-2. High fastball, and Rasmus strikes out. 7 strikeouts now for Lackey, but the long ball bites him here in the 4th. J.P. Arancibia to dead center, a breaking ball, 2-0 Blue Jays. J.P. Arancibia has given the Blue Jays a 2-0 lead with his 3rd home run of the season. A 2-run homer to dead center. Jay Happ struck out the side in the 4th. David Ross goes after the first pitch and fouls it off a homer. David Ross is in his 2nd stint with the Red Sox. He spent 8 games with Boston back in 2008. Started his career with the Dodgers. He was late on that pitch.
He's a good backup catcher. It's a good sign by the Red Sox. They needed somebody to spell Jared Saltalamacchia, and Ross has caught on some good teams.
Pops this one up into right field. Rajay Davis moving over toward the line makes the catch. More IndyCar action coming your way this weekend. The Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on Sportsnet 1. Great IndyCar action coming to you from Alabama. 1 out. Number 8 hitter, Jackie Bradley Jr. That's the first pitch, strike boy. Jay Happ, this is the way he threw all spring long.
Strike after strike after strike. Mixing a change up, use your slider a little bit.
That's where they've been working Bradley throughout this series. You know what? And that's not a bad idea. You got a rookie, you don't know a whole lot about him. See how he handles that inside fastball. Can he get the bat around?
And I think if you establish that fastball, pounding him inside, what does that open up?
Down and away.
Down and away.
Sooner or later, he's going to try to hit that inside pitch. He's got to open up the front side, and then the outside becomes gold.
You can see he's got very good talent. He hasn't played a game above Double-A. They have a good one.
There's that breaking ball. Well, they project Jackie Bradley Jr. to be their next center fielder. Kobe Ellsbury is on the last year of a contract, and he's got Scott Boras as an agent, and chances are he's going to test the free agent market. So Boston has a little insurance. Ground ball. Encarnacion waves off Happ and goes to the bag. 2 outs. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. "20-year-old Bryce Harper. What a future he has."
I don't think we're going to see a sophomore slump from that guy.
Off to a good start, batting .389. He's got 5 ribbies already. And you know what? I'm about a 20-year-old hitting third in your lineup.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
He had a couple of home runs on opening day, didn't he?
Yeah.
Not too many people
special talent
in baseball can do that.
Ball on the strike, 2 outs. Blue Jays need a little extra from a starter, and Jay Happ is looking like he's going to give it to him. Trying to get out of the 5th. Up and away, 2-2. Siriaco walked in the 3rd. Went to second on a wild pitch and moved to 3rd on the throwing error by J.P. Arancibia. But he was one of 2 base runners the Boston Red Sox stranded in the 3rd inning. He's a good-looking hitter. We saw him last year. He hit .293 for the Boston Red Sox a year ago.
Can play multiple positions for you. Can run a little bit. He came on the scene after an injury and got off to a great start for the Red Sox last year.
Played in 76 games. He hit .300 in AAA in Pawtucket. He's got some big league time also with the Pittsburgh Pirates. 2010, cup of coffee. 2011, another cup of coffee, and he's battling Happ tough. Jay Happ battling Pedro Siriaco. Happ with 6 strikeouts, including striking out the side in the 4th.
Changeup has been money for him this afternoon. And if you feel confident right here, why not? 15 Ks over his last 2 big league starts, 6 of them today for Jay Happ. This pitch will tell you if he still has confidence in that change.
Left-handed hitting Jacoby Ellsbury on deck. Fastball, fly ball right field. Davis with good speed gets there and makes the catch in fair territory. Jay Happ has retired 7 straight. He's got a 2-0 lead. Emilio Bonifacio leading off the bottom of the 5th. Blue Jays lead it 2-0. JP Arencibia, his 3rd home run of the season, a 2-run shot to center. John Lackey, his last start in 2011. Missed the entire season a year ago, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Inside corner, strike 3. That's 7 strikeouts. Check it, 8 strikeouts now for John Lackey.
That's pretty impressive for your first start out of the gate. We heard all spring long that the Red Sox starters are back, and John Lackey showing that he's back. His career high in strikeouts is 12. He's getting close to that.
Jose Reyes 2 for 2 already this afternoon. Reyes had 4 hits in 5 at-bats in last night's game. Wouldn't it be nice to have that kind of talent?
Wouldn't know.
No, that's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be nice? That's a foul ball. We mentioned Reyes 25 times now. He has had a game in which he's collected 4 hits. How about going 100 for 129 in those games?
What?
It's a 775 average.
In those games?
Yeah. 25 games, he's collected 4 hits. He has one 5-hit game.
That sounds like some of the numbers that we've seen on our PlayStation game.
Oh, yeah. When you play that PlayStation game, you're liable to get those numbers. That's the only place you and I are going to get those numbers. During that stretch, he had 18 doubles in those 25 games. He had 18 doubles, 4 home runs, and 15 triples. Wow. Oh, Lackey hurt himself. He is hurt. Oh, my.
Oh, you hate to see this.
That is terrible. Lackey had Tommy John surgery and missed the entire 2012 season, and they're not going to take any chances. He immediately reacted to the pain, and oh boy.
He's holding his bicep. Tommy John is more down into the elbow. It looked like he's holding his bicep, and he reacted right away. That is not good to see.
That's very unfortunate. Boy, we hate to see that. John Lackey throws this pitch, a breaking ball, and then watch the reaction. Oh, my. We hope for the best, but it doesn't look good for John Lackey. New pitcher when we come back. Central, weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific with Jeff Blair and Dirk Hayhurst. Listen on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and watch on Sportsnet 1. Jeff Blair and Dirk Hayhurst will break it all down. John Farrell obviously very concerned about John Lackey. He's going to go downstairs and check on him. This is the pitch before Lackey hurt his arm, and watch his reaction after this. You can see him leaning towards his arm, shakes the right arm out, and felt the bicep, and he's now moving his arm around, and then this is the next pitch. And he is done. And that pitch way inside, you can see Lackey behind the mound, obviously in pain, and that's unfortunate. And everybody knows it's something significant when you see a pitcher react in that fashion. John Lackey had Tommy John surgery November 1st, 2011, missed the entire season. And that looked like he was more focused on his right bicep muscle. And obviously there's no way of telling what it is, but it certainly looked to be a significant injury. Boy, oh boy, just a reminder how fleeting a athlete's career can be.
Yeah, dealing right along, throwing a great ball game in just one pitch, and you hate to see that. Hate to see it, especially a guy coming back from the injury. So we hope for the best.
Alfredo Aceves got ready in a hurry. 3-2 pitch to Reyes, and he walked him. That walk will be charged to John Lackey, and Reyes is aboard for a third time. And Aceves thought that was a strike, and he was talking to David Ross, and Ross kind of trying to get him refocused. And, hey, man, let's get Rajai Davis. One out. Blue Jays are up 2-0. Reyes with a stolen base in the first. Breaking ball inside. Rajai Davis 1 for 2 so far.
I'm watching the miles per hour. It doesn't look like Aceves is loose yet. Now, he had all the time to get ready that he needed because of the injury. That last pitch barely hit 80 miles an hour. I'd like to see Reyes take off here. That one a little bit better.
Aceves has been a very good reliever. He has done a terrific job working out of the Red Sox bullpen and had a great run with the Yankees. This is his third season in Boston.
He was the Red Sox primary closer last year when Andrew Bailey went down. Picked up 25 saves, which was a career high last year.
Off-speed pitch tapped foul. The last 4 years, Aceves has thrown more relief innings in the American League than anyone. 269 2/3 coming into this season. He's durable. He's got a rubber arm. They won 18 consecutive relief decisions, 2009 to 2011. This is a fly ball to Victorino. Davis is retired. 2 down. That stretch of consecutive relief decisions, 18 straight wins, was the longest since Elroy Face in the late 50s had 22 straight wins.
Every team needs a guy like that. He's got the rubber arm. He can go out there and suck up innings for you. Give the starters a break. Give some guys a break out of that bullpen. And save games for you. Now, he's not going to do that this year. That's covered with Bailey and Hanrahan in the 8th and 9th inning for him. But he's a valuable piece to that bullpen.
Now, just like this situation, he can come in, he can get ready quickly, and he can give you 2 or 3 innings. 2 outs. Cabrera lines it into center, and that'll get down in front of Ellsbury. Reyes will stop at second. Jose Bautista out of the lineup for a second consecutive game. He sprained his ankle running down to first base, beating out a potential double play ball. And he flashes the Loiste sign to Melky Cabrera for that 2-out base hit.
About 11 o'clock this morning, he was hitting and he was running, testing that ankle to see if he could go today. Looks like he's ready to pinch hit if they need him.
He got his gloves on. It obviously appears as though he's been swinging a bat in the batting cage. 2 down. Edwin Encarnacion. Hitters have to shift gears quickly now. Encarnacion is 0 for 8 against Aceves, who entered the game after the injury to John Lackey, the starter.
Same type of pitcher. Fastball slider. You cut it a little bit.
On the ground, Pedroia to his left, rights himself, and Blue Jays are finished in the 5th. They strand a pair. They have a 2-0 lead. Headed to the top of the 6th. Here comes the Home Hardware cleanup crew. Brought to you by Natura, Home Hardware's exclusive line of safe, environmentally friendly cleaning products. A lot of kids in attendance, and that happy little girl now has a Blue Jays souvenir. Blue Jays have another great fan for sure, and how about the police officer handing out souvenirs? And what a great atmosphere at this ballpark. It is a packed house once again. Last night, 45,328, and another crowd appears to be over 40,000 this afternoon.
Love the Junior Jays Saturdays. It's like a whole new generation of Jay fans starting to grow up with this ball club.
Bring your kids down and they can run the bases on Junior Jays Saturday. Jacoby Ellsbury takes the first pitch up and in against Jay Happ. Jay Happ gave up Ellsbury's leadoff double, and that's the only hit the Red Sox have managed. Ellsbury stole third base but was stranded there when Happ picked up a couple of strikeouts to close out the first. He's working on a string of 7 straight retired.
3 of them by strikeouts, a couple of fly balls. Steve Delabar has picked up a ball and he's getting loose. Jay Happ is closing in on 100 pitches.
Blue Jays starters, first time through the rotation. Brandon Morrow in game 2 threw 100 pitches in 6 innings. Ari Dickey, the opener, threw 104 pitches in his 6 innings of work. Mark Burley went 5 1/3. He threw 88 pitches in his start, and Josh Johnson 6 innings, 98 pitches.
I think that's the pattern that we'll see, especially early on in April. You want to guard against overextending early in the season.
I think John Gibbons would like to see 100 pitches and 8 innings.
Yeah.
Melky Cabrera, that ball was sinking, but he's got the speed to run it down. 1 out.
The 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Great sidelines here at Rogers Center. And it's really nice when the upper deck is jammed as it is this afternoon. Right fielder Shane Victorino.
You know, Gibby was talking about that, about the bullpen being a little bit overextended early this season. He said it really just takes one start where the starter can give you 8 innings. He's hoping today or tomorrow one of the starters can give him 8 innings, and couple that with the off day. He says, hey, we're going to be right back in it then. Guys will have a proper rest, but you don't want to overdo it. There is Dave Bush, who was just called up today, and that'll help. He was scheduled to start tomorrow's game in the minor leagues, so he's stretched out and can give you multiple innings.
Bush threw the ball well in the spring, and he was certainly a guy they projected to be an insurance policy in AAA, and he's already been called up from the minors. Off-speed pitch popped up over near the seats. Long run for Reyes, and he's not going to get there. Jose Reyes, not that familiar with how much room he has here in his new ballpark.
Yeah, you're right. That same ball later this season, that's going to be caught by Reyes. He's there in plenty of time and then gives up on it. Not real sure how far he has when he hit that warning track where the wall was.
Now, this is a challenging ballpark in the fact that that warning track is the same surface as the artificial turf. You don't sense any difference in what you're running on. Traditional warning track will have cinders on it, and you can actually feel the dirt and hear the difference, but you see it's just the color differential here. It'll take him a while to get used to how much room he has and how far he has to run to get to the wall.
They throw some of that lava rock in there to give it a feel like it's some dirt, to have you feel like you're getting closer to that wall.
Jay Happ with a very good effort in his first start of the season. Full count, 1 out. And Victorino will draw the walk. The third walk issued by Happ. John Gibbons with a very deliberate walk toward the mound. And he's already made the call. He's got Steve Delabar ready. He's got Dustin Pedroia, right-hander, scheduled to bat. And Jay Happ will turn things over with a very good outing in his first game of the season. Gives up a leadoff double to Jacoby Ellsbury. That will be the only hit he allows through 5 1/3. Good effort from Jay Happ. Steve Delabar into the ball game, trying to protect Happ's 2-0 lead. Couldn't get out of the 6th inning, and he ends up with 99 pitches over 5 in the 3rd. And first inning cost him. He threw over 20 pitches in that first inning, but boy, oh boy, he was sharp. Struck out the side in the 4th. Now he turns things over to Steve Delabar.
8 pitches when he had to get into the 6th inning. Steve Delabar will take over. Already the 3rd time he has worked this season. He has the only win for the Blue Jays. Got that with 2/3 of an inning of work against Cleveland. A couple of right-handers coming up. So John Givens goes to his hard-throwing righty.
Steve Delabar facing Dustin Pedroia. Victorino with the 1-out walk at first base. We mentioned Delabar's added a slider, a new wrinkle that not a lot of teams are aware of just yet.
And I think that was it right there. Throw it early in the count, and a hitter will go, wait a minute, I don't have that in my scouting report. I've got fastball splitter from Delabar. Now you add that 3rd pitch. It puts a little doubt in that hitter's mind.
There goes Victorino. Aaron Sebia's throw is in the dirt, and what a play by Bonifacio. Emilio took the low throw from Aaron Sebia, gloved the short hop, and had the presence and the calm to put the tag on Victorino. What a good play.
Stayed right with it also. Very athletic play by Bonifacio at second base. Straight steal as Victorino doesn't look in. Watch him get down low. Get down low with that. Catch it and just get it down as quick as possible. Stay right with it. And a big 2nd out recorded here in the 6th inning.
Well, what a play by the second baseman. He helped out Aaron Sebia to gun down Victorino. Bob Davidson rings up Dustin Pedroia. Delabar comes out of the bullpen to pick up a couple of outs. Aaron Sebia throws out Victorino. Delabar strikes out Pedroia. Pedroia didn't think he went around. Bob Davidson saw that bat and calls him out. The Yankees get here. It'll take place Friday, April 19th, a 3-game series. It starts on Friday night, 7:07 start. Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon, 3-game series against the New York Yankees. Call Blue Jays at 416-341-1234 to pick up your Blue Jays tickets. You can always log on to BlueJays.com and order your Yankee tickets or stop by most Rogers Plus locations. Adam Lynn came up with a single with one out back in the fourth. That set the table for J.P. Arencivia's two-run homer.
And if you don't think the base hit takes some of the weight off the shoulders of a batter, it's a good feeling.
Now, so much is made about the start of the season, whether it's a hot start or a cold start. Everybody wants to get off to a good start, obviously.
You know what? I just wanted to get off to a consistent start. You know, mixing a hit here, mixing a hit there. I didn't want to be too hot, and I didn't want to be too cold either. Just be consistent. And that's baseball. Just do it day in and day out. A little bit here, a little bit there, mixing a base hit, driving a run.
Well, you can get off to a good start, or then you can be Chris Davis.
Whoa.
Chris Davis is on fire. Orioles first baseman. And Lynn takes a walk. Leadoff walk. Jerry Happ making his first start of the season. Goes 5 1/3 and allowed just one hit. That was a leadoff double on a 3-2 pitch to Jacoby Ellsbury. 99 pitches. He struck out 6, including striking out the side in the fourth.
You mentioned the first inning. Also the third inning. Had a couple of walks in there, and there was an error, but Jay battled through it and got into the 6th inning. Threw some good pitches.
J.P. Arencivia. Two-run homer back in the fourth, the dead center. Alfredo Aceves. It's Arencivia to pull it foul. Take another look at this long home run.
First time up, he struck out on a fastball. This time they throw him a breaking ball, and he crunches it to center field. He's got good power the other way. He can hit it out in center field also. Much more relaxed. You can see with that lower stance with the bat in his hand. Last year was up a little bit higher. Wanted to take a little bit of the tension out of his shoulders, so he's got the bat resting a little bit lower.
Chad Mottola is going to keep an eye on his shoulders. Feels like if he has his shoulders relaxed, that's going to remove the tension in his arms and hands. Don Hirschbeck calls him out. Arencivia can't believe it, but he'll turn and go back to the dugout. Aceves with his first strikeout.
Aceves is doing an interesting thing. Early in the count, he's throwing about 80 or 84 miles an hour and then reaches back. It's that ball on the outside corner. JP thought it was outside.
Hit and run is on. The ball is in the dirt, and Lynn has a stolen base.
He didn't have any last year, not one. And I think that's why he was excited to help the second base umpire, Jim Reynolds, to let him know. Hit and run on the first pitch, not a bad idea. DeRosa protects him, and watch Adam right at the end. I'm safe.
6th career stolen base for Adam Lynn. Mark DeRosa playing at third base this afternoon. He started at first base in last night's game. Way outside. Blue Jays have really struggled with runners in scoring position to start this season. They are just 2 for 27. That's a .074 batting average. For comparison's sake, look back to last year. Through the first 5 games, the Blue Jays hit .349 with runners in scoring position. They were 15 for 43 with 23 ribbies. They're 0 for 5 today. Looks like Bautista is going to grab his bat.
Interesting. Makes the game a little bit easier when you're coming up with those clutch hits. You can manage the game a little bit easier. You can manage your pitching staff. And you're always begging for that big hit. Could be tough. Base into the outfield. A base hit into the outfield is no guarantee of a run because the Red Sox outfielders, they all throw well.
Well, they have 3 center fielders, just like the Cleveland Indians. Bradley's a center field playing in left. Asbury has played center most of his career, and Victorino is a 3-time Gold Glove center fielder.
He is shortened up a little bit in right field as Victorino.
He charges the ball very well and has an accurate arm. Full count pitch to DeRosa. He'll take a walk. Well, it is gorgeous outside. We are indoors here at Rogers Center. That has gone along the lake shore, Ontario, UCCN Tower, in a gorgeous afternoon. Most people would come indoors, but there's hardly a seat left. Great crowd on hand. And so far, their favorite team has a 2-0 lead. Colby Rasmus.
Pick out that first pitch here. He has fallen behind early in the count. Both of his at-bats this afternoon, and they've polished them off with a high fastball. Don't even let him get to that spot right here. Look for that first pitch fastball ready to drive in a run.
He was looking fastball. It's upstairs.
Jose is getting loose. This will be interesting if he loses. Rasmus here ends up walking him or getting him on base, bases loaded. Jose might be the call.
Get a chance to get him to the plate with 1 out. Rasmus lays off that high pitch. Alfredo Aceves entered the game in the 5th inning. John Lackey threw a 3-1 pitch to Reyes and had the lead. High, deep drive, and you can forget about this one. 3-run homer, Colby Rasmus.
Told you that they pounded a couple of fastballs for strikeouts his first time up, and they're going to go back to the well one too many times. Colby was ready right there for that pitch. 2-0, he's looking for something right down Broadway. He gets it and delivers. No doubt about that one. You can watch that one.
Home run number 2 for Rasmus. Second Blue Jays homer of the afternoon. 5-0 Jays.
And it is an effortless swing by Rasmus. And look how far that ball travels. Off the facing of the third deck in right center field.
Bonifacio pulls it into the seats. Rasmus with 23 home runs a year ago, a career high. Signs of good things to come. popped up left side. Jackie Bradley Jr. makes the catch. 2 down.
Those are the kind of balls that you hit that you don't even feel when it hits the bat. You know you got it all. You got plenty of room. You can just sit there and admire it. That's a good feeling. Jay Happ certainly likes it. Stretches out the lead for him.
Jose Reyes been on base 3 times, a couple of hits and a walk. Blue Jays have struggled with the bats, but their power has not been a problem. 11 home runs now. That leads the majors. And Bautista's missed the last 2 games.
They passed Cincinnati and Colorado, who came into this game #1 in the major leagues in home runs.
Cincinnati hit 6 yesterday against the Nationals. Blue Jays had a 5-homer game against Cleveland on Thursday night. Reyes waves at that pitch up and away. He strikes out. The inning comes to an end, but Colby Rasmus, his 2nd home run of the season, a 3-run shot deep to center. 2 homers today. Blue Jays lead it 5-0. Blue Jays baseball partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. Blue Jays using the long ball. 2 home runs. J.P. Arencibia 2-run homer. Colby Erasmus a 3-run shot. They lead it 5-0. Steve Delabar came in the ball game in the 6th with 1 out. Shane Victorino was caught stealing, and then Delabar struck out Dustin Pedroia to end the 6th.
You know what that home run does? Gives you a little breathing room. Pitchers can attack that strike zone like that. And if you make a mistake, you got a little room, a little margin for error.
Colby Rasmus home run number 2. Arencibia his 3rd of the season. Napoli reaches for it and stays alive. R.A. Dickey will go to the mound tomorrow in the series finale. He'll be opposed by John Lester, the great left-hander of the Red Sox. Fastball at 96.
The 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Lots of action around Rogers Center. Junior Jays Saturday, lots of kids on hand, and they have been entertained to quite a ball game. Good pitching by Jay Happ. 5 runs on 7 hits, including a couple of home runs. Will Middlebrook's 0 for 2. Fly ball to right. Rajay Davis has it measured. 2 down. Steve Delabar was acquired by the Jays July 31st last summer. Blue Jays were in Seattle. They manufactured the trade. Eric Thames went from the Blue Jays clubhouse to the Mariners clubhouse, and Delabar switched places with him.
That's the type of trade that a need for both teams. Seattle was looking for a little bit more offense, preferably an outfielder. Blue Jays were looking for some power out of the bullpen, and both teams got what they wanted.
And Seattle has a deep bullpen. They've got good arms in their bullpen, and they could afford to use some of that surplus to pick up the outfielder they needed.
Remember, we were out there, and Steve Delabar came over to our team, and hey man, this guy throws 96. Well, the guys they replaced him with throw harder. Caps and Pryor.
Then they went out and added to their outfield then, bringing Mike Morris back.
He's off to a great start, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. We got an interesting team. Justin Smoke swinging the bat well. Had a good spring. Dustin Ackley, Kyle Seager, 2 young good hitters. Johnny Gomes gets jammed. Good inning for Delabar. Retires the Red Sox in order in the 7th. Blue Jays lead 5-0. The Blue Jays have had a great start to this weekend series. Over 91,000 fans for the first 2 ball games. In fact, they've been entertained. Good pitching and a couple of long balls today, and the Blue Jays lead at 5-0.
Started with Jay Happ. I thought he was outstanding in his 5 1/3 innings, 6 strikeouts. He used his fastball. He introduced his changeup a little bit more this afternoon with the 6 strikeouts. And then you're right, the home run power. Colby Rasmus home run took a lot of pressure off the hitters.
Rajay Davis gives it a ride to right. Victorino gets back and makes a terrific play as he slams up against the wall. You'd mentioned early in the game, Victorino plays very shallow and right, and Davis made him get on his horse.
Still has good speed to recover. High breaking ball, and Rajay sends it to right field, and Victorino just runs it down right in front of the wall in right field. They are very fast. You mentioned they're all center fielders. They're very fast and cover a lot of ground for the Red Sox.
Melky Cabrera 1 for 3. Breaking ball strike from Aceves. This is the value of Aceves. He can come into the game in the middle innings and give you 2 or 3 innings very quickly.
You know, an injury after 4 to third innings could crush your bullpen for 2 weeks. If you've got a guy like this with a rubber arm who could give you multiple innings, and not just a once through the order guy. Now you could finish off the game if you need be, and then he rests and everybody else are okay for the next week or so.
Aceves didn't like that pitch. David Ross had given him a pitch, was all set up, expecting Aceves to throw it. Aceves originally signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. He played in the Dominican Summer League his first professional season. Then he went back to Mexico and played in the Mexican League, and there he strikes out Cabrera. 2 down. Let's check it with Jamie Campbell. Chicago White Sox, interesting ball club. They will be here at Rogers Center on the next homestand. It'll be White Sox and the Yankees in town after Blue Jays go out on the road for 6 games.
You know, you were talking about what Aceves can bring. Red Sox have 2 off days the rest of the month. 2. And if your starter gets knocked out because of an injury in the 5th inning, that could wreck you for the rest of the month.
Carnacion is called out on strikes. Aceves sets down the Blue Jays in order. We'll go to the 8th. Blue Jays shutting out Boston. The CRV, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Colby Rasmus, his first 2 times up, struck out on a high fastball. 6th inning, couple boys aboard. They try that high fastball one more time, and off the facing of the 3rd deck, it goes for a 2nd home run. 3 big runs for the Blue Jays to open this one up.
Rasmus, his 2nd homer of the season, has given the Blue Jays a 5-0 lead. New pitcher is Aaron Loeb, making his 3rd appearance of the season.
Great job by Steve Delabar. retiring 4 batters that he faced. Also got a caught stealing in there. Turn it over to Loop now. Loop hasn't worked for a couple of days. He's well rested.
David Ross, starting behind the plate this afternoon, is gone 0 for 2. Luke came up with the Blue Jays last July and really impressed with his composure, with his poise, and with his stuff.
In his rookie year, looked like he had been around for 10 years. 2 walks over 30 and 2/3 innings last year in those 33 games for Luke. Got into an inning and a third in his debut this year.
Well, the one thing he does is he makes the hitter swing the bat. He's around the strike zone so frequently that everybody has to think swing. And then he can marry right-handers and lefties with that breaking ball.
Yeah, he's not afraid to throw that right-hander, the fastball on the inner half. He can put that curveball inside, outside. There it is. Nice. And I think his fastball surprises hitters. It's on you very quickly. You start looking for the fastball, and he can dance that curveball in there like that. You give up on it if you're a right-hander, and it just cuts the outside part of the plate.
Jackie Bradley Jr. takes a strike. You mentioned the Red Sox with just 1 hit. First batter of the ball game, Jacoby Ellsbury hit a 3-2 pitch down the left field line for a double, and that's been it. They have stayed in the kitchen of Jackie Bradley Jr. all series long.
Put that fastball in their mind.
Might see the old bender right here. Fastball. Couldn't pull the trigger. Down and away at the knees. Back-to-back strikeouts for Luke. They have excited the crowd. Another huge crowd here at Rogers Center. 45,797. The Blue Jays have drawn over 91,000 for the first 2 games of this series. And they're having a good time. Check out what you're missing if you're not here at Rogers Center.
I think this is going to be the place to be this summer. A lot of entertaining baseball.
Pedro Siriaco. He walked in the 3rd. He flied out in the 5th. Luke snags the comebacker, and here's the Luke chants from 45,000. 5-0 Blue Jays. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Blackberry Broadcast Studio. Jays Club. It's presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. You can become a member of the Junior Jays Club. Members receive a Blue Jays cap, baseball, stationery kit, and front-of-the-line access to run the bases. Membership is only $19.99. Sign up today. Log on to BlueJays.com/kids or call the Blue Jays directly. Adam Lynn hits it high to left field. Jackie Bradley Jr. makes the catch. Alfredo Aceves came in the ballgame back in the fifth, and he's given John Farrell exactly what he needed. He's given him some innings. He started John Lackey, in case you missed it. He unfortunately suffered an injury throwing a pitch to Jose Reyes, a 3-1 pitch, and grabbed his right bicep in pain. Immediately left the ball game, and we hope for the best for John Lackey. Coming back from Tommy John surgery and missed all of 2012.
He had been pitching a beautiful ball game. 8 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings for Lackey. They ended up walking Aceves, and that was charged to Lackey, his only walk of the afternoon.
We have just been informed that John Lackey has been diagnosed with a right biceps strain. So hopefully it's nothing more serious than that, and that he will be able to recover from that. 2-1, 1 out. Aaron Sebia takes one inside. Fair ball down the left field line, going all the way into the corner. Aaron Sebia is headed for second, and he'll coast in there with 1 out. A double for JP, his second hit of the afternoon.
You know, he looks so free and easy at the plate. Nothing is strenuous. He's not trying to muscle anything. He just turns on this pitch. The other night, same type of pitch. He was able to keep it fair. This time pulls the hands in, gets the barrel of the bat on the ball. That's extra bases. It's a good looking swing there.
Aaron Sebia hitting .368. Be interesting tomorrow to see if John Gibbons puts JP in the DH spot. John Lester, the left-hander, going to the mound for Boston.
Yeah, he talked about that when he told JP that he was going to be off on Sunday and Henry Blanco was going to catch R.A. Dickey. JP kind of telling me, you know, I took Lester deep last year a couple of times. Says I could DH, you know.
Now he's making it tough on Gibbons. He's hit a home run and a double.
Well, he'll have a choice. Maybe Jose Bautista will be back. And he said if he's back, they will probably DH him. So some choices possibly.
John Lester is tough, and obviously from all reports we hear that he's throwing the ball very well. Aaron Sebia's got 2 home runs against Lester, but a .192 career average. Bautista has 4 home runs against Lester, but he too hitting .222. Awful lot of very low batting averages when you look at the head-to-head matchups against John Lester.
Some of his best strikeout games have come against the Blue Jays.
Mark DeRosa takes strike 3. John Hirschbeck rings him up. That's 5 strikeouts for Aceves since he entered the game back in the 5th.
It's a good pitch. I like that comeback fastball against the righties. It's going to end up finishing this game. It's really saving the bullpen for the Red Sox.
2 outs. Aaron Sebia is still at second. Ole Erasmus with a long home run to center his last time up. He hit that home run off of Aceves in the 6th. Breaking ball, strike. Blue Jays broke the scoreless tie in the 4th. J.P. Aronsebi hit a 1-out 2-run home run. Then Rasmus hit a 3-run homer in the 6th.
Would like to see some of these runs being cashed by base hits. I don't want to count on all runs scoring on home runs. We've seen a lot of that so far early in the season. When you do that, you've got good approaches at the plate.
Rasmus gets jammed. Pedroia to his right. The inning is over. Blue Jays leave a base runner. We'll go to the ninth. 5-0 Jays. Kobe Rasmus, J.P. Aronsebi have played long ball this afternoon, and the Blue Jays have taken those 2 home runs to a 5-0 lead, and Sergio Santos on to try to close out this game.
A couple of games already this year for Sergio. 0-1 with an ERA over 5. Fastball is back. He's got a great slider. Good chance for him right here to get some work in. 16 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's what you're going to get when Santos is in the game. Some heat.
Top of the order, Ellsbury, Victorino, and Pedroia. First pitch strike at 95. An impressive pitching performance by Happ and the bullpen. The Red Sox had 12 hits in last night's game. They've managed just the leadoff double off the bat of Ellsbury this afternoon.
They had some runners on early in the game, and they left him out there. Big inning was that 3rd inning when they got that runner to third base with less than 1 out. Encarnacion threw out Siriaco at the plate, and they haven't come close since then.
Ellsbury fouls it into the seats. Red Sox today 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. You mentioned it came early in the ball game. They stranded 3 base runners early in the game. And for the series, they're just 2 for 24 with runners in scoring position. Of course, last night they had runners on all night long, and they were 2 for 19 in that game. What would you like to see from Santos to prove that he can really be effective?
For me, I think it's more of command with both of his pitches. He's got the slider and he's got the good fastball. A little bit more command. You can see all over the strike zone there. In and out. Another one up and away. Mostly with the breaking ball. He's got a good one. You have to respect his fastball. They can throw it at 95, 96 miles an hour. But you start throwing that breaking ball, that's a sharp slider. You start throwing that for strikes. That's where he's going to pick up a lot of strikeouts.
Full count. Ellsbury bounces it toward first. That's a fair ball. And Encarnacion steps on the bag and gloves it. All in one motion. These two ball clubs will wrap things up tomorrow. R.A. Dickey will go to the mound for the Blue Jays. He'll be opposed by the classy left-hander John Lester. It all begins tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the pregame show. Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn will have it. John Lester and R.A. Dickey, great pitching matchup. They'll lock horns tomorrow right after 1 p.m. Eastern. Shane Victorino has walked twice this afternoon. You know, you talk about Sergio Santos coming into this season. He had a total now, major leagues and minor leagues, of 148 2/3 innings. He just hasn't pitched much.
Right.
He's a converted shortstop. Was a #1 draft pick of the Diamondbacks as a shortstop. And he made the transition in 2009. And went to the minor leagues and pitched, but just hasn't pitched many innings.
Second time through the organization here. They got him in a trade from Arizona when he was an everyday player.
Came to the Blue Jays along with Troy Glaus for Miguel Batista and Orlando Hudson.
And over to the White Sox, and Buddy Bell, who was working for the White Sox organization in the minor league, says, I don't think you're going to make it as a hitter, but you can certainly get to the big leagues very quickly with that arm. And he wasn't in the minor leagues, like you said, very long.
Minor league totals, 26 games, 28 2/3 innings. I mean, that's a difficult thing to come to the big leagues and learn how to pitch at this level.
Then he throws up a 30-save season, doesn't he, for the White Sox? And then missed pretty much all of last year with arm problems.
Strike 3 call. Santos drops the breaking ball on Shane Victorino.
That's what I was talking about. You have to respect the fastball because he throws at 95. You start flipping that bad boy in there, you'll see a lot of called third strikes.
Red Sox won last night 6-4. Jays are up 5-0. 2 outs in the ninth. Steve Delabar, Aaron Loup, now Sergio Santos in relief. Jay Happ with a terrific start, his first of the season. On the ground, Reyes deep at short, off the money. That's the second hit of the game, an infield hit. It comes with 2 outs in the ninth. Blue Jays have never one-hit the Red Sox. They've had 5 two-hitters against them, and now Pedroia's hit here in the 9th is the second hit of the ball game. Mike Napoli had the hat trick today, 3 strikeouts. Pedroia is going to take off for second. There he goes, and Napoli hits a fly ball deep to center field. Rasmus on the run, on the track, at the wall, makes the catch. The game is over, and the Blue Jays will win it. Colby Rasmus with a 3-run home run gave the Blue Jays a 5-0 lead, and then makes a terrific defensive play in center to end the ball game.
Does it with his bat to give the Blue Jays some breathing room back in the 6th inning, and then ends this one with a sensational catch against that scoreboard in right field to finish off a great day. Sergio likes it. Jay Happ picks up the win.
Well, the Cubs have split the first 2 games of this series. A great pitching matchup on Sunday. R.A. Dickey goes against John Lester. Thanks for watching. Connected coming right up. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.